Today I want to rate everything I tried to stop the jaw and facial pain that I experienced starting around the end of 2020. So the first thing is mindfulness, meditation, or yoga. I would say it was 1 out of 10. Why such a low rating? Because by that time I was in this pain flare. Yoga, meditation, and mindfulness was really hitting the mark. It was really not effective at all. Pills, painkillers, pain pills, prescription medications for the pain. It was, again, 0. It was 0 out of 10 actually, not even 1 out of 10. 0 out of 10 because, again, pain meds didn't work. They stopped working for something that's systematic and you're already in an advanced state of the pain. Say it's reaching and affecting your system level, basically one area of your body, I'm talking about jaw and facial pain, is going to be just like a outlet of that systematic issue. So by the time I really tried to double down on pain meds, just like Advil, it was sort of already too late or just not effective. And by that time I was already dealing with arthritis and even bone loss in my jaw, around my jaw. Applying hot compresses. Now this one is an interesting one. I'm going to tell you before I give you a rating. I need to talk about it. I need to talk this out a little bit because this one is a tricky one. I knew from long time ago, long before I became symptomatic, and I had these crazy weird pressure pains in my head, around my jaw, and tension that just didn't go away from trying to relax it. Way before that, I used hot compress when I was sick, when I had sinus infection, and it used to be effective. Now, I reached a point when these things didn't work anymore. I tried to do hot compress, but now that I'm symptom free, and I still do get tensed up in my jaw sometimes, occasionally, there's a astronomical huge difference between getting occasional tension than being in chronic pain that doesn't respond to things. So in those instances, like yesterday, I woke up and I had a little bit more of a sore jaw on the right side, and in that case, just applying a little bit of warmth in the area and massaging and pressure. I do have a video for you guys. I'm going to include it here so that you can see what video I'm talking about. It's really effective. So this is like depends on when and what stage in your life you're trying to use hot compress. I would say 5, because even if you are in this more chronic state, it can give you a little breather to take a little break, but it's a band-aid solution. It's still not a root cause solution. That's why it's 5. Okay, hot compress is 5. Now, not just heat, but actual physical compression. I remember 9 months into my phase 1 of the traditional TMJ sort of treatment, I had a pain flare, and it was like a very complex situation. And I tried to do this compression and make the pain go away. And I was just in so much pain, so much tension. And again, it's the same thing as the hot compress. It depends on when you try to use this. And at that point in my life, it was not effective. So let's say 4 for manual compression and manual tissue release. It can be super beneficial when you do this as a maintenance, but not as a root cause solution for that pain that comes and goes around the jaw. In fact, this could be applied for anything in any area of the body, wherever you have joints, and especially if you are neurocomplex, neurodivergent, hypermobile. Traditional TMJ treatment. How do I? I'd say 6 out of 10. 6 because it did not cover a lot of the things I needed, like alignment to work, postural and habit awareness that were keeping me in this collapse state. And it definitely did not include a full system connective tissue, full system fascia training, and especially the correct training around the jaw. Which takes me into, but on the other hand, it engineered my bite. Yeah, it was a pain in the ass, and it was super, super expensive. And that is also like about it. It's very, very expensive, and not, generally speaking, good doctors are not everywhere all the time available. I had a good doctor, so that's why it's 6 and not a lower score. Speaking of training the muscles, I also tried muscle training. So training the functional muscles around the jaw, the face, I taught myself based on some basic moves that I learned from my TMJ doctor, and then develop more exercises. So if we just take training of the jaw, I would say 7 out of 10. Because why is it higher score than the traditional TMJ treatment? Because it's actually so many times where the root is coming from is also the soft tissue, like muscles, connective tissue, especially if you're hypermobile and your pain is part of the hypermobility systematic issue, and it's part of the nervous system that you live in this sensitized, exhausted nervous system. Then connective tissue and soft tissue training is super duper effective, but not when you are in a intense flare. Okay, those are the times when connective tissue and muscle training is not going to be as effective. And even if you do it in the right way, it needs to be fine-tuned, and you need to be able to learn and engineer and tune in with your body. If your body needs actually resting and being supported by a brace or a splint, or your body is ready for action and is ready to be trained, so that we can pivot you out of that pain zone. So yeah, it's effective, but it needs to be the right training, fitting for your body in the right time. I tried many more things. This is the thing I also did. Habit changes. So habit, what I'm talking about, is this thing that we do if you are also hypermobile, neurodivergent, is this collapsing thing and staring at the computer screen like this. That can create so many strange patterns inside the neck. Neck training, guys, I would say 8 out of 10. 8 out of 10. Paired with the habit awareness, like what are your daytime habits, is actually how you're going to get out of, how you're going to actually be programming your jaw. Yes. Think about a good splint. A good splint is also programming the jaw, but you're doing it without an actual like thing being in your mouth 24/7. You are souping it up with a training and awareness and habit training, so that you can actually support joints in your body by supporting your alignment. And so it becomes a new habit that you are more aligned and your head can navigate in space compared to the rest of the body. And that is going to affect the jaw. That's going to affect the airway and all of that. Breath retraining. 9 out of 10. Why such a high score? Because It's so closely connected to your structure, to your posture, and the nervous system. So if you are like me and you have dysautonomia and a damage to the central nervous system, this is going to be so much more effective, like getting this whole nervous system training on, and not with the breath work like your neurotypical breath work or ice baths or like hyperventilating and all that shit, but actually like training the breath and the diaphragm, because it's going to involve the whole system. And this takes me my last piece: whole system training, not just looking at one part of my body, like a jaw, the problem spot, but looking at the whole system. What the heck is going on in the whole system? Loving and caring for my pelvic floor, for my system, for my wellness, for my spiritual well-being, not by outsourcing my power to someone else, continuing that pattern, but actually sourcing it in, and showing up for myself fearlessly, like paying attention to how these pains, like jaw and facial pain, and going through treatments and going through working with doctors and things getting worse, and nobody is really giving you the answer, is so traumatic. It's so exhausting and so traumatic. So working with that trauma piece, I would say 9 out of 10. Yeah, even more important than the actual training and moves and functional trainings. Now, because there is such a close connection, I say this whole system type of approach and holistic work is 10 out of 10, because you cover everything and you're not taking away healing from the jaw. You're actually giving it to the jaw, because you're showing up for the whole you and the full you and your whole story. Acupuncture. Ooh, okay, so acupuncture is an interesting one. I really wanted acupuncture to work, but again, I was already so triggered, and so like I needed that system work more than just poking needles around these areas for sinus infection, because it wasn't sinus infection, it was systematic. I'd say for this particular thing, 4 out of 10, because it didn't solve my problem. And I don't think it was like that big of a part of my recovery that I would have allocated more money for. Where I would have allocated money for more is therapy. Like if I needed to psychological support, where I needed to like put the money in, because we're talking about gambling and investing. This is investment into your own self, investing into places that may not return the investment. So you need to look at where are your investments are going right now. Are they returning the investment? Is it worth to be staying in that treatment? Do you see where this treatment is going? Have you been seeing results, or have you been just blindly trusting doctors, specialists, that you're moving forward? There are very specific signs that tell you that you're moving forward, and you know it deep down. So if there has not been much results, I'm talking to you, you need to look at and make some big decisions for your health, what's happening next for you. And I hope to give you support with that, with these videos I'm creating to educate you. Stay around, stick around, and I'm cheering on you from behind the scenes that you are going to go pain-free, and you can break that pain cycle with the right tools.